Hi guys, this is Anna and welcome to my current reads and my April TBR. I've been trying to record this video now 3 or 4 times in a row and the camera just keeps focusing, refocusing despite the fact I have put it on my face recognition, so I don't know what's going on. I'm trying a new setting, fingers crossed this one is working. Right, at the moment I'm still going through this bizarre stage when I'm reading way too many books. So I'm like 20% through reading several rather than finishing quite a few. I had a pretty decent month in the in March, much better than February, much better, but I'm still reading too many books. I have like 10 on the go. So what I'm going to do in this video, I'm only going to show you the books I have on paper. So if I don't have it on paper, I have it on my Kindle, or I'm listening to it with audio, I'm not even going to include it because otherwise this video will be so long, so long. You will probably fall asleep just watching it. So I'm going to start with the books I'm currently reading, and I'm going to show you the books which I can kind of started and would like to continue, and then the books which I have not started yet. Right, jumping straight in. I'm going to start with the books you have seen before and then show some new ones. So the one you have seen before is my Poland Unbound, and my plan was to read 100 pages or so, basically complete page 6, chapter 6, and I have done so. I'm very pleased with myself. I have managed to complete just over 100 pages, and my plan for the next month, for April, is to carry on with the book. So at the moment I'm on page 204, and what I would like, really like to do is to get all the way through another 100 pages. That includes chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9 and chapter 10. Chapter 10 though is the Holocaust, 1941-1943, so that might be difficult. However, if I do go through them, that will get me all the way towards page 325, and that would be a very good place for me to stop until May. So just to show you, I am where that big page is, and that would be my plan for the next month to get this much read. It is doable. I got into the groove of it. I kind of read about 10 pages a day, and that's why I get to enjoy it. It really gets really nicely done on the weekend because my brain is fresh. This is not the sort of book you want to pick up after a busy day. It is very busy with facts. It's really well written. I absolutely enjoy reading it. I couldn't stop. Like one chapter I was reading about prevision for the Poles, and it was so interesting. I just could not put it down. But saying all of that, remember back in December I've read Between Shades of Grey by Erich Segal, and I gave like 2 stars. Well, now I'm gonna go back and give it 1 because that book is so heavily plagiarized from the actual references mentioned in this book. Like I can understand that Erich Segal was trying to tell her family story, something which happened to her father, but she's a historian. So if she took a real story and she put it into a fictional world, that's great. I can understand it's a historical fiction she's writing, it's still a fiction, but she could at least acknowledge it because the best part of her book was the actual bit of history, and nowhere in her book she acknowledges it. She does mention her sources as well, and there are some dialogues and some situations which are in her book which are directly from some of the sources mentioned in here, and that really pissed me off. There's no other way. I was just so angry with Between Shades of Grey. Like I hated that book before. I'm really sorry. Like I know some of you really love it and you rave about it and you give it 5 stars. Great for you, but if you actually read non-fiction, you will realize that that book is flawed. And it's just so biased, and I don't like when authors are biased. I like when they're completely neutral. I like it when they let me think. That's just my opinion. But this one, I'm really enjoying. Another book which you have seen previously, that's my Alexandra Quartet. I have finished Justine, which is I think the first 200 pages or so. Yeah, 203 pages. Of a minuscule font, and the first 120 pages was a little bit of a torture, but once I've read them it made so much sense that I went back and reread them, and I'm torn between giving it 4.5 and 5 stars. Like literally, it's so good. Just so good. It's absolutely worth plowing through this long slog in the beginning. For the April, I will try to read Balthazar, which is the second, and they have to be read consecutively, and apparently they kind of add to each other. So I think the Balthazar, and then the next one is Montville. Yeah, Montville is even better. It's like completely turns around everything you thought you knew about this book. But I'm so far really loving it. It's much better than I have expected, and I struggle to put it down. Like, it's so good. So my plan for April, as I've mentioned, to read the Balthazar. The Balthazar is the second. I think it's about the same size as Justine. So it's not too big. Yeah, it finishes on page 390. So I would like to get about halfway through the book by the end of the month. And finally, another book which you have seen me already read, and I'm still continuing with it, that's Terms and Conditions. I love this book. I just didn't get time to get to it because I don't want it to finish. I have about 30 pages left, and it will take me like an hour to complete it, of enjoyable slow read. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I can't praise it enough. Now to the books which I have started but not finished. So I'm going to start with the ones you have seen and then go to the ones you haven't. You have seen me talk about this for my plants, and this is Nicolette Bishop, in St. Petersburg You Can Survive in the Summer. This is a collection of short stories and one novella. I have read the novella and I really enjoyed the novella. However, I'm not that keen on his short stories, particularly the bizarre ones, sort of a lot of magical realism. I'm kind of stuck. I'm stuck at it. I think I've read about like 87 pages in. I just need to find new love for this book, but at the moment I'm not that keen. This has not been translated into English yet. I then started 1913. I have mentioned that I wanted to start this book and finish it. This is by Florian Elias, who is an art critic. He's German art critic, journalist. He writes in an art review magazine. And it shows, like, this book is not bad. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it's not what I have expected. I thought it's going to set the scene before the war in terms of geopolitics, the economics of the country, the social interactions, but this focuses primarily on the art scene and all the inner circles and all the inner goings of certain individuals. Yes, he throws a bit of Stalin and a little bit of Hitler in, he throws a bit of Einstein, a little bit of other science here and there, but this primarily deals with literary circles, poets, composers, dramatists, a lot of Freud in this book, and I'm not that keen on Freud. A lot of art is a lot of art, and how the different art groups interacted together, the specific individuals. Now that I know what this is about, I'm kind of ready more for that. The book is split into 12 chapters based on the month, so you go from January to December. At the moment I'm on page 90, so I'm halfway through April. I've done January to halfway of April. I do like this, but if you know nothing about, it's mostly German and Austrian. There's very little of anything outside Germany and Austria. So if you know very little about the music, composers, writers, German authors from the early 20th century, this book will severely slow you down, because I had to go and Google things, I had to find music they were discussing, and I listened to it on the YouTube, so I could kind of get myself into gear. The art was easier because I knew a bit more about the art, but the literary scene was completely new to me. There's a lot of research I had to do after reading each bit of the book, so it is a slow read for the reason. But if you are interested in me doing a review on this book and showing you some of the paintings discussed in here, because I have some art albums, if you want me to mention some of the authors and give you links to some of the music discussed in here, do let me know down below in the comments, and I will do a review on this book. Another book which I have mentioned before, I have finally started. This is Euripides, the first volume out of 5, published by Chicago University Press. And there are 10 well-known plays by Euripides which have survived the test of time. It was really beloved in the Middle Ages, kind of fallen out of favor by the end of 19th century, probably because he talked about sex and frivolities, which just did not match with the Puritan way of life. And in this particular volume, there are 4 plays. You have Alcestis, Medea, the children of Heracles and Hippolytus, and they go in the chronological order. So the first one is Alcestis. This is the first surviving piece of his work. He competed in Athens in this tragedy competition where the 3 authors are selected, and he has lost to Sophocles, I believe, in that year. And each author in the course of the week had to present 4 plays, 3 tragedies, and the 4th, which is like a weird thing. It's not a tragedy, but it's not a comedy. It's something in between. It has a chorus. You allowed more actors to do this and a larger group of singers. And he came second in the competition. And interestingly, this is the 4th piece. So the tragedies did not survive from that year, but the play did. And there are not that many of this 4th special category which have survived the test of time, so it is interesting for that reason. And Alcestis deals with the queen who has decided to die instead of her husband to prolong his life. Her husband is a good friend of Apollo. He had helped the god, and to thank him, the god decided that wouldn't it be lovely if I could get someone else to die instead of you so you can live longer. So he offered it to, well, it's suggested, and it's in debate whether how to translate this, for the parents of the king to accept it, but they didn't want to. So his wife stood up and said, I will die for my husband. And that happens very early in the book, so it's not a spoiler alert. And spoiler alert, it's not a spoiler, but then we deal with the repercussions of what happens and whether or not she can get back. I have to say, I really, really like how they give the introduction to Euripides, and they give a separate introduction to this particular play. And they give instruction how to read the Greek tragedies and Greek words, what is considered to be like the proper way. They talk about the strophe and the antistrophe, and I've never taught Greek literature, I've never done literature at university, so that was really interesting for me. They talk about Euripides' life and the competition he had with Sophocles and Isiphilus. He was one of the youngest. And the translation of this particular one, Alcestis, is done, I'm gonna tell you, I think it's done by Mark Griffith himself, but I don't want to lie to you. No, it is translated by Richard Latimer, so he was the original contributor to the series. My plan is to finish Alcestis and read Medea next, and then leave the other 2 for May and June. I really, really, really like it. Highly recommend it. Right, I'm also reading Slightly Foxed, which I have not shown you guys yet. And this is the journal, literary magazine I subscribe to. This is issue number 53, spring 2017. And I'm reading it really casually. I'm about 62 pages in. So it's about 2/3 in. And this issue so far I really like because it has reviews on books like War and Peace and Giving Up the Ghost by Hilary Mantel, which I do want to read soon. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, poems of T.S. Eliot. It's just really, really well written. Highly recommend you look into getting your hands on Slightly Foxed. Right, the book which I have started yesterday is A Little Life by Yanagihara. Everyone knows how to pronounce her name. I still butcher it. I bought it yesterday and I just could not put it down. So as you can see, in one day, I don't know why it can't focus, in one day I have managed to read 206 pages. So I finished the first 2 parts of the book. So far I'm really, really enjoying it. As I mentioned, I'm only 2 parts in, and God knows where it's gonna take me. It might be that the author will start to repeat herself too much, and I don't really like when people start doing it. Like, I like when they just stay focused, which I wish my camera was doing. I don't understand why it keeps refocusing, because I have balanced it to focus on my face. It's really irritating, so I do apologize, guys. So yeah, The Little Life. Then I have 4 books which I've shown you in my try the chapter video, which I still want to complete this month. Actually, out of them, so I did 5. One I finished and I gave 5 stars. That was Casa Pioneers, and I'm going to talk about it in my March review. I absolutely adored that book. It was just so good. In fact, the first chapter of the book was the worst chapter of the whole book. That's how good the book is. The second book from those 5 I constantly keep thinking about is Sufficient Grace, and that's the one with the gory prologue where you go on a hunt and you kill babies, basically. I actually want to go to this book. I keep thinking about it, and I like the way it kind of does. It does, from a literary perspective, it does follow the same structure as this one. It is divided into 12 seasons, divided into seasons and divided into 12 months. So you kind of go with the author through those different periods. It's really interesting. At the moment, it starts with November, so you start with a very cold month and you kind of proceed through. I think that will be, out of the books which I've started, like after them, once I finish them, I will probably just go back to this because this really fascinates me. And then I really want to read the Handsworth Times, another book. Both of those came from Mercedes's Moth books. And after what happened in London with the terrorist attack, I think this would be very, very topical as well. So I want to go back to this. But then I want to go back to Alexander Kuprin Junkera. This has not been translated into English. It's a Russian book. It's semi-autobiographical, so yeah, I want to go back to that. And then last but not least, from the ones I have started, is Erich Segal and His Doctors, which I really enjoyed the first chapter. It's just I'm reading so many good books at the moment. I need to find time to squeeze this one in. So this is from the list of the books you have kind of seen before, and then I have 3 books which I would also like to get to. You've seen 2 of them. You've seen The Few Eggs and the Oranges by Persephone. I still have not started it, guys. I still want to start The Door by Magda Szabo. It's kind of, they all look at me and go like, read me, but time is too short. And I finally caved in and I got my hands on The Essex Serpent. The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry, which has been longlisted for the Baylis Booker Prize, but it did not get shortlisted, unfortunately. I have not started yet, and yes, the hardbound copy I have is in blue because I got this copy in Waterstones, and that's a Waterstones special edition. I thought I'll treat myself and get this one because of the school holidays. So yeah, those are my mighty plans for the month of March, and this is without my electronic and audiobooks, which are also queuing up. I mean, I don't know. I might read some of them, I might not read any of them, I might decide or just screw it and pick up something else depending on the mood. But at the moment, the one book I will, well, there are 3 books which I definitely will proceed with, because I will finish this because I'm almost there. I will absolutely read Balthazar because I'm hooked after Justine, and I will absolutely carry on with this because I cannot sleep. I want to know what happens next. So definitely in April I will complete those 3, but as for the others, I'm gonna leave and see. Thank you guys, happy reading, see you soon, bye.